this is TheBackstreetNets bringing you a tutorial for Blender, and this tutorial is for the very beginners. So I don't know, just check another tutorial if you're not a beginner. Now in this tutorial we're going to be learning how to create a bowl. But first, what uses Blender? To be honest, quite a lot. We use it for 3D modeling, animating, and it's also a game engine. We use it because we are creating a game. We're not using Blender as a game engine, however I might show you a bit about the game engine. We're using UDK, Unreal Development Kit, which is a free program as well and available in the description. Well, there's a link to it in the description. It's also available on Steam, so there we go. Now let's get started. Okay, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to press A, and that deselects everything, and then press A again, and that selects everything. Now I'm going to press X, and that deletes everything. You don't have to, but I want to. Okay, now I'm going to first show you some things. So if you press the middle mouse button, it turns around your scene, moves your scene around, and that's very useful. And now if you want to go into front view, you press 1 on your numpad, not your normal keypad, your numpad. It doesn't work on your numpad. If you don't have this and you're using a laptop, then you go to view and to front. Okay. Now if you are using a laptop, it does get annoying that you have to do that every time you want to change from front view to side view or something like that. So usually what I do is press N, go to display, go to toggle quad view, and you don't have to have box selected, but I like it selected because it stops me from moving around. I can only move around in this box. Now, something important to remember is to change your view from perspective to orthographic. You understand why you need to in a sec. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now, first, if you press Shift and while holding down Shift A, go to Mesh and add a UV sphere. Change the segments to 12, and rings 12. Now, press Tab to go into edit mode. Press B, and it brings up this cross thing. Just click and hold and select the top vertices. But as you can see, some of it is not selected. That's because when you first open up Blender, you're not going to be able to see right through it. To do that, you just click this button down here, down. If it's light, then that means you can see through it. And select that. Delete by pressing X. Vertices. You can also press delete on your keypad, that works as well. Now you're left with this. I'm just going to get out of this because there's no point really using it. And you got this. So this is very useful depending on what you're making. Since I'm making a bowl, you make this. If you want to make a cup or a mug, you'd probably make a cylinder. Now press G to grab and to move around, Z to move on the Z axis, and 1 just to move it exactly on the line part. You can see. Now the red line is the x-axis. The line going straight up is the blue, which is the z-axis, and the one going right in front of you is the y-axis. You will have to learn these, and you will learn these depending on if you stay with this program. Sometimes it's the y-axis pointing upwards and the z-axis pointing towards you, which makes more sense if you remember school. Anyway, now I'm going to select this vertex by right clicking. That's the far vertex. I'm going to right click on it, and while holding out shift, right click on that one, right click on that one, right click on that one. That selects the face. Now another way of doing that is by going to edge mode, right clicking, right clicking, right clicking, right clicking, or while holding out shift, or just right clicking. You don't need shift for this one, on the face itself in face select mode. Anyway, so just don't left click because that moves the cursor somewhere. Now if you press E, that extrudes it. It brings the it brings that face out, kind of. However, you got to remember that doesn't, it just pushes the face out, so there isn't going to be any face there anymore. If you want to fill that, we don't need to fill that, but just if you do, just right click on it, and while holding a shift, right click on the others, and press F. There you go. Anyway, we don't need that. It's just to show you, to explain what extruding was. Now, if you press A, that selects everything. Press E, and press S. Now, it's still moving along the Z-axis, so press Z. And even if it's going along the Y-axis or the X-axis, usually press Z and it makes it move around freely. Or scale, just on the median point. Now I'm going to move this up to make it flat by just clicking on, left clicking this time, on the blue pointer, which is the Z axis. Now press B. Press you scroll up and down to zoom in and out, and press B and select the bottom part. Now if you scale it on the Z axis by pressing S and then Z, you see as you move in it becomes flatter. If you press 0, it becomes 0 blender units in size. Okay, I'm going to select everything and go back down to the red line, and some people think, oh yeah, I'm done. Well, it's clearly not done considering it's flat. So in object mode, click on smooth in shading in your tools box. If you don't have that when it comes up first, you press T or click on that button. And if you press N, that disappears. And you click on that to open it up. N again, and T. And anyway, so that kind of smoothens it out. You don't see the flat object, but you can still see that's not very smooth. That just changes the shading. So if you press Control and press and hold Control and press 1, it smoothens out quite a lot. Now if you go to modifiers tab by going up here and clicking on the spanner, you'll see it added this. You could just go add modifier subdivision surface as well. Now you can set the view to 2 when you're rendering, but for the moment it's fine 1. You can keep as 2, but it slows down my computer since I have a laptop. So press tab to go back into edit mode, and I'd like to just change some things. So first I'm going to go into vertex mode. 1, select the middle vertex and just move it up a little bit. Okay, next I'm going to press Ctrl R, and you'll see this purple thing comes up depending on where you are. Now just hover it around until it's in between the two, well, where I have it, and just move it and click, no, and then, yeah, you click and then move it about there. Now if you press press and hold Alt and right click on that edge, then it selects the whole circle of edges. Now scale that out by pressing S and press Shift and right click on the middle one, on the middle vertex. Press 1 and just move it up a bit. If you've seen the underneath of a bowl, you know what it looks like. Now press Ctrl R and make sure it's in the middle between the two places, and move it out. There we go. That should be fine. One last thing I want to do, press Ctrl R again, and there we go. Move it in a bit. Now don't move it in completely, because otherwise it just looks very sharp, and nothing is completely sharp. Nothing, even a knife. So there we go. I'm going to put this up to 2 renders. I'm going to go to materials, which is the checker circle kind of thing. New. I'm going to change the color to a nice, whatever color you want. Orange. It's like a popcorn bowl. Funny. Now I'm going to press Shift. And now in object mode, Shift A, go down to camera, and it creates this. Now if you press 0, you move into camera, or go to view, cameras, active camera. Now press G to move around, and then press G again. No, sorry. Press middle mouse button, and that just moves it out. And there you go. Press G again. I'm going to move it over here. If you press R and then R again, move it around until you have a view of the bowl. And I like to be very photographic. I don't know what the word is. Just move it where you want and have it. I like to have it there on the side. Now there's one last thing I'd like to do. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to change the horizon color to black. So that just makes the background color black. Now something I also forgot to do is add lamps. You can add points or suns or spots or heavies or areas. I'm going to add a point. Move that up. Now Shift D duplicates it and move it there. Could you move it down there maybe? and move it over there. Now, Shift T over here, over there, and one last one. Over very far over there. Let's right click on that, move it there. That's fine. Okay. Now, the lights aren't going to be seen, so if you want to make them seen, you go to Blender, Cycle Render, but that's completely different. I'll do a materials part for that in a sec. So now if you press F12, there you see the bowl. Now you notice something about it, there's the black parts. So I'm actually going to press Shift, and delete all of those. Yeah, delete all the lamps, yeah. Okay, I'm going to add a different type of lamp. You know how to do this. You can just move them around until you have what you want. But I want to do something else. Press Shift D. No, I don't want to move on. I want to move that on the Y-axis, so press Y. R to rotate. Move that there. R to rotate. And let's press Shift D down there. Okay. Now 0 again. Okay. F12. That's quite nice, but I'd like to do something else to the texture. So escape. And right click on the bowl. Materials. Mirror. And make the reflection just a little bit like that. F12 again. Still not much difference. Okay, I'm going to move the lights in a little bit. That's fine. Okay. So F12. That's actually quite nice. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to right click, shift right click, shift right click, delete all the lamps by pressing X. Now I'm going to go to cycles render this time. I'm going to delete the material because the materials are different in the cycles render. Color, similar as before, only I'm not going to make it diffuse, I'm going to make it mix shader. Diffuse for one and glossy for the other. Roughness. Okay. Now, if you press Shift A and add a plane and move it up there, and move it there, and rotate, that is going to be your lamp. How do you make it a lamp though? You just add a material to it and go to emission this time, and if you want you can change the color. I'm just going to leave it white though. Press Shift D, move another one down here. Okay, that should work. That should be fine. But now I'm going to make it a bit more unique. Move that there and rotate it like that. Okay. So 0, F12. Okay, the lights are definitely not strong enough. So I'm going to click on strength up. Not that much. That's fine. Okay. Now, where was it again? Okay, here it is. Go to integrator and render and bring it up a bit. I'm just gonna, yeah, 30 will do. Okay. Now press F12 again. Just wait a bit. Sorry if it's slow. I've got like the camera, the hypercam running, so it's naturally gonna be slow. Now you can see it still has a lot of noise. Now you can change that by just adding more samples to it. Make it 75. 75. And just so you don't have to watch all of this, I'm just gonna pause it and come back to you in a sec. Okay, at 200 samples it's better, but like it's not going to, it doesn't look like it's going to be any better than that. Anyway, the cycles render, the idea of it is just better mathematics and all that for your rendering. What it does is that, unlike the normal Blender engine or render, it calculates all the bounces of light off the object, off different objects. So if I had a plane there, and the light would reflect off it onto that, as it would in real life. Like, you'd have to have a really big light in a room you were making, say. However, you have the window light normally, as normal, in the cycles render. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been a tutorial by TheBackstreetNets. Okay, thank you. Bye.